episode number 21.
Yes, sir.
We all said that this was going to be a good episode last week, so let's see if. But I don't even know what's in the news right now. Anything outside of the world of basketball that you guys?
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day. Yes. Hope all the everyone's moms had a good day today. Well, yeah, I guess we can just get into it then. So instead of last week we talked about some players and new situations, new teams, and we said we would save the quote unquote pretenders and pretenders for this week. That's what we're going to talk about. But it's going to be a little different, I think, because rather than doing contenders and pretenders, because I feel like what does that even mean, really? Like, what does it even mean to be a contender? You know, like at a certain point, it's just so vague. So I feel like a better way to do this is I figured we could buy and sell the various playoff stocks of each team. So basically, this is how it's going to work. I'll say a team, then I'll say a round in the playoffs. So, semifinals, conference finals, or NBA finals. And it's your guys' job to determine whether or not you could see that team advancing to at least that round. And this isn't necessarily our locked in predictions. I feel like, especially since we're not even I feel like we're not going to factor in matchups and things like that. Cause with the season winding down, it's very close right now. And it's really hard to say who's going to face who. So we're just kind of, it's pretty casual, but you'll see how we'll go. But we'll start in the Eastern Conference. A team that played earlier today, that being the Boston Celtics. So right now, Boston is 7th in the Eastern Conference, so they're in the play-in tournament. That's not good. 2 games behind the 6th-seeded Miami Heat. Do you guys think the Boston Celtics, buy or sell, can get to at least the conference semifinals? What are your guys' takes? At least one playoff series. Can they win at least one playoff series this year?
Selling. Big sell. The Celtics have been playing too inconsistently for me to have faith in them. Kemba's been playing well. Kemba has been playing, I said in the group chat, he's averaging almost 29 points per game over his last 5 games. I think he played well tonight too. But I know you just said we're not going to factor in standings and matchups, but at the moment, if they win the play-in, they would have to face Brooklyn in the first round. And
that's tough.
Fully healthy Brooklyn, they're taking care of them in 5 games, maybe 6, maybe.
That was a great take. By you.
Yes, sir.
Love that.
I do agree with you. Just thinking about the Celtics throughout the whole entire season, they've just seemed like they've been just a super streaky team. Like they'll go on a hot streak for 10 games or so, and then all of a sudden they'll be the worst team in the league. So one thing I guess it'll really depend on is what kind of streak they're going on entering the playoffs. But ultimately, I would have to say that I'm going to have to sell on the Celtics making the second round. First of all, they still got to win the play-in, which they could be facing.
Right now, they'd be facing the Hornets.
That's not, the Hornets, or they could be even facing the Wizards. But so they could easily win that, I feel like. Although it's not guaranteed. And by the time it comes to the first round of the playoffs, they're going to be facing probably one of the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference, which all 3 are competing for a title. So I don't see it happening. If it does happen, then I mean, it is what it is. But
Yeah, I mean, it's just all season the Celtics have just been take a step forward and then take 2 steps back. Like they can't ever just get a good streak of even 3 games together. I think that might have been their biggest win streak all season was 3.
Yeah, it's just a really inconsistent team. You know, they obviously have like a bunch of great individual players, like you mentioned, Justin Kemba, who's been playing really well recently. Obviously, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. But I just feel like them, like as a whole team collectively, they don't really do anything like particularly great. And I don't know. It's hard for me to see them winning a playoff series this year. I remember saying at the beginning of the year, telling a friend of mine who's a Celtics fan, saying this team is a first round exit team. No matter how way you shape it, like I just don't see them advancing past the first round because, like you said, Brooklyn, I don't see them losing in the first round. Even without Harden, I think I would take I would take the Nets over the Celtics, even without James Harden. And then Milwaukee and Philly, they've been really good all season. And then, you know, if it is a Knicks Hawks first round matchup or Knicks Heat, like I think, you know, one of those teams obviously have to move on. So I just don't see the Celtics getting past the first round. But one thing about the Celtics that I have seen, at least in their games, is that they never quit. You know, like they had that huge comeback against the Spurs earlier in the season, 32 points. I think I think Jason Tatum I think that was a game he scored 60.
Yeah, it was.
I remember against the Nuggets, they went on a 40-8 run.
Oh my God.
In the middle of their game. That was just depressing to watch.
Yeah.
And then earlier today, I mean, they played the Heat and lost by 6, but they were down by 26 at one point in their game. So like they're a team that's like you can never really count them out. And but at the same time, like that's I don't think that's going to be able to they're not going to be able to get away with that against the Nets, against the Bucks, whoever they face.
Especially in a series.
Yeah, it's just
might get a game, might have one game.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
I will say, I did not expect them to be at this position. Like at the beginning of the year, I think I said that they're one of the teams that, like, as a Nets fan, I'm scared to face come playoff time because they've been to that, like, they've almost made the finals in the past in, like, I think everybody's second year, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But I don't know. It's like maybe I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I think they've made the conference finals like 3 of the last 4 seasons. So like they've always been right there. And you would imagine like another year of development, another year of chemistry for them would help them. But for whatever reason, it just hasn't.
Yeah, and it's hard to put your finger on like what exactly it is that they're missing or what they could improve upon. I don't know. It's just a weird situation over there.
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Oh, is it time to move on from Brad Stevens?
I don't think so. I feel like there's going to be a lot of coaches this year that get canned. A lot of people are saying the Mike Budenholzer for the Bucks. If the Bucks don't get, I'm pretty sure it was like at least to the conference finals or even the finals. This might be his last season. They're saying Terry Stotts in Portland. This, like, regardless of what happens, is probably his last season. And then all the teams, that underachieved this year, like I'm pretty sure the Pacers head coach, he's probably going to get fired. I think Luke Walton for the Kings, he's most likely going to get fired. So a lot of coaches are going to get, it's going to be the end of the road for them.
Yeah.
I don't think Brad Stevens is going to go though.
All I've ever heard since this guy came into the NBA is how good of a coach he is. So, like, I don't know what he's doing. He's got the best team he's had since he started coaching for the Celtics. I don't know what he's doing.
Well, I think he's definitely a good coach, though. I mean, you have to think, like, he's he basically helped develop this entire core,
Yeah.
and they've really just had Kyrie and Kemba like interchangeably, like they're just in and out of their rotation. But like,
Not to mention Isaiah Thomas when he was on there, and
yeah,
they've
he made
stayed.
Isaiah Thomas like an All NBA player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He might just because of their expectations coming into the season, but he'll land somewhere else and he'll be fine.
Mm.
I would imagine. But I feel like also next week, since this is literally the last week of the NBA season, I believe. I think May 16th or like the last day of games. So next week we'll talk about like actual, because by then we'll know like who's in the play-in, and then the most of the playoff series. So we'll make like predictions and things like that. That's another reason why I feel like it's hard to say. I feel like we'll be a lot more accurate next week.
Yeah.
With all of these, because we'll know who each team is playing. But 7 more days. But moving on now, the Milwaukee Bucks. Do you guys buy or sell the Milwaukee Bucks in the conference finals?
In the conference finals?
Can you see the Milwaukee Bucks reaching at least the conference finals?
I can indeed. I definitely can, because I think the only 3 teams that have any chance are Milwaukee, Philly, and Brooklyn. And the Bucks have played well against both those teams. The Bucks are 2-1 against in their season series against Brooklyn, and they beat the Sixers 3-0 in their season series. So when it comes to playing some of the best teams in the league, the Bucks are the best at beating the best.
Maybe when our players are injured, but go on.
I mean, 3 games to nothing or 2 games to 1. You guys only beat them once. And that was probably the one time you had all 3 of them.
I don't think that's factually correct, but
I'm
go
just
on.
taking a guess. It's probably not factually correct, but I'm saying you lost twice against those clowns.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, yeah.
I say that though because I picked the Bucks rather than we'll talk about another team after this, but I picked the Bucks because the way the standings are, at least right now, I don't think anyone is going to catch Philly in the number 1 seed. So that would mean Milwaukee has to beat Brooklyn to get to the conference finals. So that's basically the question. Can they beat the Nets?
Yeah.
And get to the conference finals?
That would be a great series. That's going to be a great series. I would rather see Milwaukee Brooklyn than Brooklyn Philly.
It's all right. It's funny that you mentioned that because when thinking about this question, for me it was dependent on who they were going to play in the second round. And honestly speaking, I feel like Philly and Brooklyn will beat them in a 7-round series. So based off of that, I would have to sell the idea that the Bucks are going to make the conference finals.
Interesting.
And I say that just because we've had so many expectations for Giannis to reach that level. And he's, in my opinion, just he's obviously the best player on his team, but it's just been a disappointment overall. Last year when they faced the Heat, I thought they really could have beat the Heat. So I know they've gotten more experience since then, but I just think they haven't faced a team like Brooklyn or like Philly in the last couple of years. So I think that's just something that will be different for them, and they're not going to be able to keep up with at least the offense for Brooklyn. And I think the matchups fit well for Philly. So,
that's actually a really good point, Toby, because you're right. Every time they've made it to the playoffs, we always say it. Me and you especially always say it, Toby. They're a great team in the regular season, but when the playoffs come around, everybody figures them out. They lost to the Heat, and speaking of which, standings stay the same. I know we just said we're not going to say that, but if the standings stay the same, the Bucks and the Heat play in the first round.
That'll be a great series.
So, I mean, I still have faith. I think this is their best chance at doing it. Even though I always hate on that guy Drew Holiday and that signing, he might be that secret weapon that helps them get to that next level.
Really
Yeah.
quickly, just before you go, I just want to say that if we don't have James Harden, then it's a different story. Like they could easily beat us in a 7-round series. But
Well, is he going to be back for the second round?
he said he's expecting to come back before the playoffs start. So that's a good sign. I just don't want him to get like re-injured or some BS, and then that would be terrible. But sorry, Jorie.
No, it's all good. It's that is a little concerning, but I think I'm all in Milwaukee this year. I'm all in.
Really?
I'm all in. I mean, you two both know how I feel about Drew Holiday. I talked about him last week. I just feel like he elevates Milwaukee both on offense and defense. Then, something new that they haven't had in the previous years. Not only just him as a player and as an individual, but I feel like he also takes a big burden off Chris Middleton, who everyone says isn't a second option. But honestly, I feel like I view Giannis obviously as the one, but then I view Holiday and Middleton as like a 2A and 2B kind of players. Like it's really interchangeable because I feel like just collectively you look at those two as like one, and that's like a really good second option technically. But Giannis, I just feel like he's elevated his game. He's taking threes now, which is scary. He looks really comfortable shooting threes. Like he'll just pull up, I know I watched their game against the Nets. They were sagging off like way too much. Blake Griffin, who I was mentioning before our show, he was sagging off so much, and Giannis was just making him pay every time. And not only that, like defensively, I feel like last year, Giannis was the freaking defensive player of the year last year. And their head coach, Budenholzer, would never use Giannis like correctly. And I'm like, why are you just he didn't like let Giannis just play defense. He would always like have him defending their worst players. Like you guys mentioned their series against the Miami Heat. A lot of like to close games rather than having him guard like Bam or Jimmy Butler, he would have him on like Jay Crowder, like just sitting in the corner. I'm like, you literally, this is probably probably the best defender in the NBA, and you're having him just standing in the corner doing nothing. Now it's like to start the game, he's defending like the team's best opposing player. Like he was defending Kevin Durant in their game against the Nets. He's just chasing him around all game. And like you could look at that as a negative and say, oh, he's going to get tired or whatever. But I would rather just have Giannis try and eliminate one of the best players and mitigate their impact than not. I would rather go down with like a puncher's chance. So I just feel like the chemistry, the continuity that this team has mixed in with, all the new pieces that they have this year, Holiday, PJ Tucker, I just feel like they can make a run in the playoffs. So I can see them getting to the conference finals this year.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree. That was a good point you made about him guarding KD and how they need to put him on the best player, because he's that good defensively where you could put him on you could put him on whoever, and on the other end, whoever's guarding him can't stop him. Nobody can stop Giannis unless it's literally a full team effort.
Yeah.
Don't let that guy score in the paint.
That's why it's just like everyone's like, oh, look what the Heat did. Oh, it's so easy to stop Giannis. And I'm like, no, it's really not. Like that was literally like
some of the best lockdown defense.
Right. It was literally, not only was it a good like plan going in, but they executed it extremely well. And like that takes buy-in from every single player on your team. Like you can't just say you're going to do this and it's going to work against especially the best player, the MVP. You can't that's just not how it works. So that's why everyone says, "Oh, it's just stop Giannis, just build a wall. It's so easy." I'm like, no.
If we're being honest, Toby, I don't think your Brooklyn Nets have what it takes to stop that guy Giannis. You guys are going to be putting up all those points. You got 90 points between 3 of your guys alone, but you're not going to be able to stop Giannis for nothing.
All right, yeah, I agree. Giannis is gonna get his. Like, it's gonna be a cakewalk. I mean, they're gonna be trying their best. Blake Griffin is gonna be bumping bodies, but they can't stop us. It's simple as that. We got the best playmaker in the NBA in James Harden. We got 7-footer.
Probably the second best playmaker in the league in Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, you could say that too. And then you got Kyrie Irving in his 7-foot
Playmaker or
body.
shot creator? I wouldn't say playmaker.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
would say shot creator.
That's why they're such a good duo, dude. Kyrie doesn't have to worry about diming his teammates up when he could just get buckets. It's gonna be scary hours. Everybody forgets how good this team is when all three players are on the floor. They're about to be reminded.
You better hope
it's really
they're all
whack. That's
there.
really dumb.
Better hope they're all there, man.
Yeah, true.
It is a question mark.
That's the one thing I'm so nervous about. Just somebody getting injured.
Yeah, I hope.
When is there any chance at all that Spencer Dinwiddie comes back this season?
Probably not, but there is, like, if they make the finals, then there's a small chance that he might be able.
I feel like even if he was available, I don't know if they would throw him out there. You know, I feel like that would be smart. Just to in his first NBA games back, it's the NBA final. Like, I don't know. It seems like
we really could have used him this year, though. He would have made our team just that much more better.
Honestly, you guys probably would have won like close to 10 more games than you did.
Yeah, I don't know. It's who knows now, but like we miss you, Spencer. We miss you. Not Spencer Woods, but you know.
We definitely don't want that guy.
Oh man. All right. So last team in the Eastern Conference, the Sixers, who we said that I think they have, if they are the number one seed, they're probably gonna have the easiest path to the playoffs. Can they get to the NBA Finals? Can this team get to the NBA Finals? Can they win the East and get to the Finals?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, they can. Right now, we were just talking about this with the Celtics about, going on a streak at the right time. The Sixers are on an 8-game win streak. So if they can keep it going, and also, they have the best record against teams in the East. They're 29-9 against Eastern Conference teams. So I'm all in. They got top three MVP candidate still, a top 3 DPOY candidate, top 3 Coach of the Year candidate. It's just too much talent. They're a good team. They got defense. They got offense. That guy Jay Brown is probably loving himself right now.
Yeah.
Gee.
Yeah. You know what?
What do you think, Dope?
I'm gonna have to. I'll put it like this. It goes back to what I said before. If James Harden and the big three are healthy, then they're not making the finals. However, they certainly do have the capabilities, even if the Nets do have a big three, to push it to a game 7 and make the NBA Finals. The thing, and this is probably the scariest team for me that the Nets could face, but it's their defensive presence that makes the whole difference for me. Because as much as I've been hating on that guy, Ben Simmons, he's one of the best defenders in the NBA.
Tried to tell you.
And then you got Joel Embiid, who, first of all, nobody on the Nets is going to be able to stop. I mean, we can try to contain him as much as possible. You got guys like Danny Green. You got guys like Matisse Thybulle, who is just an off-ball like hawk, pretty much.
He's crazy.
And they're not going to be able to stop the big three. It just goes like that. But like, I think that they can definitely give the Nets the most trouble, and I will say, I would say they have like a 30 to 35% chance.
Really?
Yeah.
So you have total 65% faith that your Brooklyn Nets are making it to the finals.
Yeah, honestly, all
Well, I
that
mean,
depends on his health.
it's down to Philly, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn. There's nobody else in the East has a chance.
Really, not the Heat.
I thought with Victor Oladipo going there, they would make it, but he got injured. What even happened to that guy? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I'm not too sure myself.
I remember we talked about it a while ago. Can't even. Yeah, but he hasn't played.
The episode it happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's gonna do, if he's gonna even be back for the playoffs. But
whatever. But
yeah.
I feel like like I really want it to be Philly, Milwaukee, but Toby's right. Nobody's gonna stop these three clowns, dude. They're gonna put up 20 a night, each of them. Like they're not even gonna try. They're not even gonna have to try.
I don't know.
I cannot wait.
I don't know. I feel like we say that, but playoffs are a different story, man.
True, but these players know what it takes. They know what it takes.
Well, do they know what it takes? Because I'm contradicting myself here, but the three of them never play together. What if just all that star power corrupts the chemistry?
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. When has that ever happened?
With the Lakers when they
been formed.
With the Lakers when they tried to get Gary Payton and Karl Malone.
Yeah, but that was a whole different.
I mean, not even that team should have won everything without losing 5 games.
Maybe, but.
And same with your Brooklyn team way back when you traded for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett.
Right,
that was a super team too. You guys should have won with that too.
That one didn't. No. We're playing the Miami Heat. Like, what do you expect?
Well, like you said, Justin, Embiid. I feel like it's kind of weird. I think next week we'll probably do like play-in predictions. We'll talk about like MVP, as the end of the season. I feel like Joel Embiid has always been like at least second, if not the top MVP candidate this season all year long. And it's just like filtered in like Steph at times. I don't even know who else, but it's just like Embiid is definitely a top 3 player in the league right now. And he's playing like one. Like you said, Ben Simmons continues to be one of the best defenders in the league. Seth Curry, who doesn't even make sense the way he's shooting from 3 right now. Because they're on, like you said, Justin, on an 8-game winning streak. He's shooting 57% from 3 in those 8 games. Like, that doesn't even make sense. And then Danny Green remains one of the most valuable 2-way wings in the league, and he has championship experience. So, like, I feel like this team certainly has an opportunity to get to the finals. And like you said, I don't know if I would put all my money on them, but I think I can certainly see it happening.
Interesting.
They did a really good job building this roster, better than years previous around Embiid and Simmons. They just got defense and shooting.
Would you say this is the most complete roster?
Probably. I think this is the completion of the process. This is the culmination.
Imagine if they still had Jimmy Butler. Imagine if they still had Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
I don't want to imagine that.
Well, I mean,
they have to get to at least
a quick little note. Just a quick little note. I love to see Embiid and Jokic both in the MVP conversation. I love seeing the big men finally like be valuable, be like a top 10 player. When was the last time we've seen a center be a top 10 player in the league?
I mean, we've seen it, but
The last time I think a center, an actual like center won MVP, I think was Shaq.
Yeah, it was. He was the
2000.
last center to get a scoring title, MVP, and a something else. There was one other thing. I saw it on
Finals
thought-
MVP,
maybe. Yeah, it was
didn't
that. It
Dwight
was that.
win it? Or am I tripping?
I don't think Dwight ever won an MVP.
Yeah, I don't think he got MVP. He's got multiple DPOIs though.
Yeah, I think I was just tripping.
Dwight, another player on the Sixers,
Yeah.
who's actually playing pretty well for them. I just like this team a lot, and I don't know. I can
To be
see
honest,
that.
I don't. To be honest, I hate every player on this team, but they're nice.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Justin on that one.
But
Like
all last year, Doc Rivers underachieved with his superstar team, so might see a repeat of that this year.
yeah.
You know what we will be seeing?
Hmm.
A new Joel Embiid crying meme on.
Oh, gosh. Maybe. Yeah, crying because he's holding up the Larry O'Brien trophy, maybe.
Yeah, happy tears.
Nah,
Crying tears of joy.
I don't think so.
All right. Let's move on to the Western Conference. And again, once we know the actual playoff matchups, we'll dive into each one and, predict them round by round. But next week, that'll be the case. So in the Western Conference, a team that I feel like we haven't really talked about very much this year is the Dallas Mavericks. But Dallas currently on a 3-game winning streak. They're 5th in the Western Conference. And my question is to you. They didn't win last year because they had to face the Clippers. But can they get to the conference semifinals? Can the Dallas Mavericks win a playoff series this year? At least one. At the moment, again, it's tough to say with the standings, but they would play the Nuggets in the first round.
Yeah. I'm buying that the Mavs make it. Because if we do use this first round matchup, the Nuggets are not fully healthy. And in my opinion, Kristaps is going to be able to contain Jokic.
No.
Oof.
How not?
'Cause it's Jokic.
He's got height. He's got the speed for it. The only problem is Jokic might, big body and move him around down low.
I would agree that Kristaps definitely makes him better, but I don't think he's doing anything against Jokic defensively. Like, he won't even make a dent at all.
Really?
No, he won't.
I wish the Knicks still had
That's gonna
Kristaps.
be a fun matchup.
I think it's just that'll be fun to see Jokic versus Luka in a playoff
Those
series.
European dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Because again, I think like you said, Justin, the Nuggets are not fully healthy right now. And I feel like it wouldn't be fair if the Nuggets still had Jamal and Will Barton is injured right now.
You
the
probably
Nuggets'
wouldn't
entire
even be. You
roster-
probably wouldn't be the 4th seed right now. You'd probably be a little higher up there.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't even see the matchup. But I think this would be an interesting matchup first round, Nuggets, Mavericks. But I agree. I think they could definitely win a series. I looked it up, and they have the 3rd easiest remaining schedule in the league. So I don't think they're going to catch the Nuggets in 4 and potentially get home court advantage. But I think that just basically is going to help them solidify the 5th seed against whoever is competing, because they have to face the Cavaliers, Grizzlies, the Pelicans, and the Raptors and the Timberwolves for the remaining of the season. So those are 5 teams outside of the Grizzlies that are just not even competing anymore. So I think the Dallas is going to finish probably 5th. And at the same time, like I mentioned, Luka, in his first playoff series last year, He averaged 31 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 8.7 assists a game in his first playoff series. Like and that was against Kawhi and Paul George.
Oh man.
Like, come on. Nobody on the Nuggets is going to be able to stop him like those two. So, if that is the matchup, I can certainly see them winning.
I'm gonna have to disagree with both of you. I think first of all, I don't think they would beat Denver in a 7-game series.
I think if it was Nuggets Mavericks, I would probably pick Nuggets. But I'm just saying, it could go either way.
It could, yeah, they could definitely make it interesting. But even if they moved into that 4th spot, they would still probably be playing the Nuggets. If they had to play a higher seeded team, then they would lose even worse. And if I just think, like Justin kind of alluded to, or kind of didn't, but nobody's going to be able to stop Jokic. If it's him versus Kristaps, he's eating up. He's getting 30 and 10 a night.
30 and 10.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's scoring.
I don't think
You're
no,
really
I
sleeping. You're really
sleeping
sleeping on Kristaps' defensive ability.
I don't think you realize like how good. It's not even that. Like I think. Well, actually, I don't think Kristaps is that good of a defender. To be honest, I think he's good at blocking shots and things like that because he's like 7'3". But I don't know. I mean, the only player that I've legitimately seen like hold Jokic under his averages is Rudy Gobert.
Mm.
And that's DPOY right there. Like that's like the only big man. Like I can't think of anyone else that I've really seen Jokic do poorly against.
That would be a fun matchup though. If anything else, also I was watching the Nets versus Denver game yesterday. Obviously, Denver lost, but they were saying how after the injury of Jamal Murray, their record still remained relatively the same. I think they said they were 11-3 since that injury, which shows that obviously, although Jamal would help them, so much more and actually make them a contender, I think that they're still competitive enough that they're not going to be worried about any of the lower seeded teams. Plus, just the experience that they have in the playoffs already. I think they, the bubble really kind of, I think, gave them a boost of confidence. After being down 3-1 for like 3 series straight. So yeah, and I just don't think the Mavericks can make it past the first round.
Yeah.
I agree with Jorie where it's going either way, but I think the Mavs can do it. I think the Mavs can do it.
Like your boy Tim Hardaway Jr., Justin, in the Mavericks' last 6 wins, he's averaging 25 a game while shooting 49% from 3 on 9 attempts per game.
If he was on the Knicks now, baby, if he was on the Knicks now. But yeah, honestly, if the standings stay the same, this matchup and the Bucks Heat, probably the best 2 first-round matchups.
Yeah, and maybe Lakers Clippers first round. Maybe, but they would have to catch the Blazers. I don't know if that's gonna happen though.
They're going to be a playing team, dude. I hope they lose in the play-in. I really do.
Well, we'll talk about again the play-in next week. That'll be so fun to talk about. But moving on, the Utah Jazz. We were just talking about Gobert. Can you see them in the conference finals?
Absolutely. In fact, I predict them to be in the conference finals, whether that be against the Lakers, the Clippers, the Suns, if that matchup goes that way. I expect them to be in the conference finals. I think that with every team in the league, their team probably matches up the best in terms of having Rudy Gobert just be a defensive anchor. and just, a bunch of shooters and a high volume scorer in Donovan Mitchell. I feel like they're going to come out with a vengeance based off of how they were beaten last year by Denver. And you could tell that, it really meant something to them at that point. And like I said, just the matchups in terms of the defensive presence that they bring, being probably the best or one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. I just think it's going to be hard to beat them in a 7-round series, and they might make the finals. They might make the finals, but they're definitely going to be in the conference finals.
I do not agree. The Jazz, I don't care if they went undefeated this season. I have no faith in these guys. No faith in them. They choke every time. They make it to the playoffs. Even back in the 90s, choked to MJ. Couldn't even beat MJ.
Well, is that really a choke? Yeah. It's Michael Jordan.
But no, like they can't. I don't know. There's too many other good teams in the West. Suns, Clippers, Lakers. Even the Nuggets could do it. I just don't think.
Well, the conference finals.
Yeah.
You don't think they have a chance at all to get to the conference finals?
Nope. I think whoever they play in the second round, they are gonna take the fat L too.
I don't know.
If they face any of those teams, if they have to face either LA teams, the Suns or the Nuggets again, I don't think they're gonna do it.
They can beat the Lakers. They can.
They can, but the Lakers also have LeBron James, who you cannot count out. Even though he said he's not 100%, probably never will be for the rest of his career. LeBron at 75% is better than 95% of the league. So
True.
You can't ever count out LeBron. You can't do it.
I mean, I just think similar to the Sixers we were just talking about, they just have an easy path potentially to the conference finals. They're going to play the loser of the play-in tournament, and then they're probably either going to face Denver or the Mavericks in the second round. And I think they can easily beat those two teams moving forward. I don't know. I mentioned Rudy Gobert. I feel like Rudy Gobert gets a lot of praise, but I feel like he's becoming a little bit underrated this season because he's literally been the third best center in the league. And that doesn't sound like much because it's whatever centers. But if Jokic and Embiid finish 1 and 2 in MVP voting, that's pretty impressive to say that he's been the third best center. He doesn't get the attention that Jokic and Embiid does because he's not throwing no-look passes and scoring 30 points a game. But he's literally just the most impactful player, or one of the most impactful players in the league. Just every game. And I don't know.
Who was that guy? They just had Bohan. They just had Bohan drop 48.
Yes, sir. Career high.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I might just be a Jazz hater, but
I think you are a Jazz hater because I remember you hating on that guy Joe Ingles for the longest time.
No, he's a savage. I came around to Joe Ingles. That guy's a savage. I definitely
just a bunch of shooters, dude. Just a bunch of knockdown shooters. Plus, you got 6th man of the year coming off the bench.
Okay, no, but you listen to this though. So when Gobert is on the floor, Utah outscores their opponents by 16 points. And when he goes to the bench, they get outscored by 1.3. So that's a 17.3 point swing on and off. And that's with, like you said, Toby, Jordan Clarkson, who's probably going to win 6th man of the year. You would think that their bench would be able to be fine without him. But that's insane. A 17-point swing because of one guy going to the bench. I feel like he doesn't get enough respect for what he does, both defensively and offensively. He just makes it so easy for everyone on that team because, like you said, they're just a bunch of shooters, and he's has the highest field goal percentage in the league. So he'll just finish anything at the rim, basically. And then defensively, I mean, you can't do anything against him, pretty much, as a big man, at least. Like I said, like he's really the only person I think I've ever seen really lock down Jokic, make him like a non-factor.
I think the reason why sometimes he gets too much hate is because of the contract that he signed at the beginning of the season. Everybody thought he wasn't worth it. But if he can manage to win a ring this year and just prove everybody wrong, then everybody would just have to show him respect after that.
No, I would dunk all over that
I
guy.
think the X factor is, strangely enough, is Donovan Mitchell, and like he was balling out last season in the bubble against the Nuggets, having like 50 a game. But I feel like he's got to be like on his, I don't know, 06 Dwayne Wade's shit for really to like carry this team to the finals or the conference finals, at least.
That series, he put up the third highest scoring mark in playoff history, only behind Elgin Baylor and Michael Jordan in that series against your Nuggets. So that is the reason why I don't think the Jazz can make it to the Western Conference Finals, because if they have to play the Nuggets again, that's going to be in the back of their mind. So it's either
I don't know.
It's either going to make them play worse or it's going to boost them up and want to,
I don't know. I feel like the Nuggets the Nuggets don't have Jamal. Jamal carried them in that series pretty much. And that's a big. But do you guys remember when Shaq called out Donovan Mitchell like at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I was just
I looked it up.
We had a whole thing about that.
I looked it up. Since that game, since that post game press conference, he's averaging 27.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 5.3 assists while shooting 38% from three. Since he called him out. That's pretty funny.
Donovan Mitchell, that guy's nice. He is the one guy. Him and Jordan Clarkson, the only two guys that'll get any respect off that team.
That's kind of why I don't like picking sides unless it's the Nets, but like I'm kind of rooting for them in this year's playoffs just because there's too many people that just have a chip on their shoulder and have something to prove to the rest of the league.
Small markets for the win, man.
No.
So we love to
everybody come to the Knicks. Biggest markets there is.
I hope it's because everyone wants the Lakers and Nets finals. I'm like, I don't know. I would rather see the best teams,
But the Nets are the best team, so
maybe they are. But I don't know. I think I'd be more intrigued watching a Utah series or a Sun series conference finals than like Lakers Clippers. That's what everyone says they want. But
yeah, it's gonna be good because we don't got two finals locks this year like we've had previous years. So it could really go to anybody.
That's been my favorite thing about this year is nobody knows who's making it into the finals. Nobody knows who's winning MVP, even though it's probably Jokic. Still not solidified.
Nah, I think it is.
Nah,
I think it's Jokic.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mentioned Clippers. I mentioned big markets. You guys think the Clippers can get to the NBA Finals this year? I think last year maybe they didn't underachieve because following their loss to the Nuggets, Paul George was saying, "Oh, this wasn't really a make or break year for us. We thought we would have multiple shots at this." But I feel like now with the additions of, Serge Ibaka, Rondo, Nick Batum, all the pieces that they got in the offseason and throughout the season, DeMarcus Cousins, like I feel like this team, they're gearing up for a deep playoff run. So do you guys think the Clippers can get to the NBA Finals? Do you think they can win the Western Conference?
I do indeed. I was watching them play the Knicks today, even though they lost, because defense wins championships. But I forget who else the guy said, but Serge has been out for close to, I think, a month now. So if they get him back, it only helps. They've been playing with a lot of injuries, and they've been playing well with those injuries. So if they have a fully healthy team, the finals might be theirs to lose.
Hmm. You know what? I think I agree with you, Justin.
Yeah.
I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer.
He's all.
I would say, oof. They probably got the same amount, like a same percentage chance as the Jazz, in my opinion. And those two teams, I think, are the two favorites, in my opinion, to make the finals. But, like Justin was saying, and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, well, Kawhi Leonard specifically, he obviously has the capabilities to pretty much to be the man on the team and bring them to the finals. It's going to be tough with them if they face the Suns, just because I feel like you got to deal with Chris Paul.
I think they could
and
beat the Suns. I think they could beat the Suns.
I think they would beat the Suns, but I'm saying the Suns might make it a little tougher for them if they have to face them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it
Also,
wouldn't
the
be-
Lakers, if they face the Lakers in the first round, that is a series you don't want to lose. Like, you cannot lose that series.
Well, either way, I mean, if you're either team, you know,
Yeah, true, but
if you're LeBron
I think
and the
more.
Lakers, you lose in the first round,
Yeah, you're right.
that'll stain his legacy.
Either way, somebody's legacy is getting stained. So if I think that they might have a harder path to the championship, but they certainly have the capabilities to do so. And again, like I said, Paul George, he was going to prove a lot of haters wrong this year, and it really comes time to the playoffs where he has to step up and be the man or the second man on the team. So I think they could do it.
Don't let last year fool you. Toby will agree with me. Playoff P is just it was a fluke, or pandemic P. Pandemic P was a fluke. Playoff P is what we know Paul George has. He is never not shown up, except last year. He's never not shown up.
I don't know.
I agree. Now I agree with that.
I feel like we haven't really seen playoff Paul George since like his days in Indiana.
Well, that guy.
When he was with the Thunder, like he wasn't really doing. I'm sure he's playing well. I think he had that one season where he finished like third in MVP voting, but I'm pretty sure they lost in the first round.
I mean, yeah, probably.
And
but
then,
he was playing with Russell Westbrook, so obviously he lost in the first
That's
round.
when Dame hit the shot over him, I think.
Yeah, yep.
And then obviously last year, that was not. I don't know. I agree with you that Paul George is definitely better than what people made him out to be from last year, but I don't know.
You don't think he emerged as a superstar because of his matchup with LeBron. Mm-hmm. If anybody that is what made Paul George like one of my favorite players back in the day. He stepped up against LeBron. He played better when he was playing against LeBron.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Those series were great. Those were
that
great.
one dunk he had on Birdman, bro. Still one of the best playoff dunks of all time.
Wait, so Jorie, you don't think that they can make the finals?
No, I think they can. I think I agree with you that them and the Jazz are probably the two favorites, to be honest. Everyone wants to say the Lakers, but I'm kind of tired of this whole, once they hit the playoffs, they're going to turn it on. I'm like, how can you say that when they've been so poor in the regular season? Like, I don't know. They might, the Lakers might, LeBron might just somehow turn back the clock for the freaking 11th time in a row and just literally run through the Western Conference, but I'm willing to bet against the Lakers for the first time in I don't know how long. So I think If I were to put money on it, I would think the Jazz and the Clippers are going to be in the Western Conference Finals this year.
Interesting. What if they don't have? What if they have to play each other in the second round? If that's even possible.
I don't know if it's even possible, really, because the Jazz are. I mean, maybe if the Suns somehow catch the Jazz, so right now we're looking at the standings. The Suns are 1.5 games back of the Jazz, and the Clippers are 3.5 games, I believe, behind the Suns. So I don't think the Clippers are going to catch the Suns. That doesn't really matter because it's just they're going to play each other regardless. But if the Jazz somehow fall out of the top seed, then yeah, they might have to face the Jazz in the second round. But I don't know. It's looking like the Jazz are probably going to get the first seed, and they won't have to face the Clippers, like in theory, until the Western Conference Finals.
I'm so excited, bro.
Yeah, I cannot wait
These
till
playoffs are going to be crazy.
The Knicks are in the playoffs. The Knicks are in the playoffs.
All right, don't get too excited because
We're literally gonna get a first round dub. We're not first time we've made the playoffs in like 8 years, and we win a round. Like, are we serious?
Hey.
Yeah.
We're beating those Hawks. We're beating the Hawks. We're beating the Hawks.
Oh,
What
if
if
you
it's
play the
not the
Hawks,
Hawks?
We're beating the Heat too. Like, Jimmy Butler is no problem. He is no
I
problem.
don't. He was giving the Celtics buckets earlier.
I mean, he probably had one of the best playoff like series performances ever against the Bucks last year, but I don't care.
plus
The Knicks are not the Bucks.
Justin, nobody besides D Rose on that team has playoff experience.
That's another thing.
Like I don't think that guy Julius Randle has ever made the playoffs.
No, I don't think he has.
Maybe that one year when the Pelicans had Anthony Davis and DeMarcus.
Maybe. I don't even know if he was on them.
I don't know.
But no, I hope you guys. I want to see a Nets Knicks series in the playoffs. That would be fire.
That would be great.
Awesome.
I'm excited to see what happens this last week of the NBA season because finally we're gonna know. We're gonna be able to make more accurate predictions next week.
Let me just keep talking about the Knicks for a little bit because I don't think we've had one thing about the Knicks all year on the show. Actually, now that I think about it. What? I'm serious.
One thing about the Knicks? You mean every single week about the Knicks?
Only because I bring it up. Only because I'm the guy bringing it up. All right, hold on. How do I look at the rest of our schedule?
I can tell you the rest of their schedule.
Let me see this because I can't figure this out for some reason.
So they play the Lakers on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday.
It's a dub. That's a dub.
Then they play the Spurs at home.
Oh yeah, fat dub.
And then the Hornets at home. And then the Celtics at home.
Oh, baby.
So I can see them
4-0.
Maybe.
We're going 4-0, baby.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's just really you're competing for home court advantage at this point. I don't think you can really determine like who you're going to play. Just depends on what happens with Atlanta and Miami down the stretch, down this week. But it's good that the Knicks are back. I don't know. Do you guys think that there's going to be like fans in this in stadiums by the playoffs?
Well,
I mean,
don't they already have?
Like
don't they already have like obviously not full capacity, but they already have fans, right?
Yeah, they have like pretty limited, but I feel like I feel like I don't know.
I think I read something that the governor of New York is gonna let sports things go up to 30% capacity in time for the NBA playoffs.
All right.
So
yeah, I definitely think it's gonna be limited, like still.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
slowly they're gonna start making more people come to the games.
That's what really sucks about this year is that we just didn't get to experience like all the moments with fans because it just it just makes games like so much more fun to watch
Oh yeah.
when like people are either booing like crazy because it's like an away team that's doing well, or just going crazy watching their home team win a game or something. Like, yeah,
My favorite thing about playoffs is all the matching shirts.
oh yeah,
I always
like
seen,
that,
especially I don't know why, but I always think about OKC when they had Russ and KD.
Yeah, in Miami.
All the white shirts
Yeah, those are
when they played the Lakers that one series and Russ made that weird like and one layup.
oh yeah,
Everybody was going crazy. OKC used to have some of the best like fan reactions ever.
Yeah. I will say, as a sports fan, that's something that I look back and realize I've taken for granted is like the fan just environment. Like as a Yankees fan, just hearing the chants and like the
Yes, sir.
celebrations after a home run, and you're like, damn, this is only 20% capacity or whatever. Like, and it's still going crazy. Like, that's something that I really miss, especially in like the NBA when you see like highlights and stuff. That's something that, you know, hopefully next year it'll be 100%.
yeah. I hope so.
You're telling me, bro, I promise you for a fact, if we had 100% capacity for these playoffs, the Knicks are not losing a game. The fans would carry this team so hard through these playoffs.
Oh my god,
Like Lee's not doing nothing.
We would make Julius Randle MVP just off the chance.
Yeah, probably.
yeah. Well, that's all the teams. Next week again, we're gonna talk about the play-in tournament probably, and then potential matchups in the playoffs. Will be interesting.
Do we know when they will be releasing the awards? DPOY, Rookie of the Year, all that?
I think it just kind of happens like periodically throughout the playoffs.
All right.
I think MVP is normally like the last one announced, I think. But I think we all know who's going to win that one.
It'll be fun to look back at it, like our predictions, see who got what right. And I don't think I got any right, to be honest.
I think Monty Williams could win in Coach of the Year. I think I predicted that, but that's the only one I think that I might get right. But I don't know. He might not win.
Nah, he could. I think he definitely. I don't know. It could go to a couple of different people.
Oh, I'm looking back at my all of our notes. Episode 6 was the episode where Shaq made that thing about Donovan Mitchell. That was episode 6
crazy.
that happened.
Feels like, wow, that's nuts. All right. Well,
Here we go. I got my predictions.
we should save it. We should save it.
Okay.
But next week. Next week we'll talk about predictions, play-in, surprises and disappointments, whatever it is.
Wow, dude, I was on fire.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't miss, bro. I missed one.
Yeah,
Yeah, all right.
All right. Until next time, good episode.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
All right. Peace out. From myself, Jorie Mickens, and my two co-hosts, Justin Sadovi and Chris Tobias, thank you so much for listening to that episode of the Full Court Report NBA show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at FullCReport, on Instagram at the.fullcourt.report. Like and comment on this video and subscribe so you never miss a minute of action.